What's going on, everybody? Kwaku here, and today is that day. There's a new build on the dev channel. This is still a minor update, but it is kind of major in some ways, especially if you're a graphic designer and you notice these kind of things like I do. They updated the fonts across the OS. It's not fully in everything yet. They're working on it, but they're showing a preview essentially of that. And let's go into Brave browser and show you the difference. They added a font called Segoe UI variable, and basically it works well with small and big displays, so it's essentially variable instead of having a font size that is typically good for just 9 point, which is relatively small, is what you usually type things in on Word and things. This one is good on small and big. So they stretched some things in the font, they shrunk some things in the font. You won't really notice it too much versus the classic Segoe that they show here. Unless you're like me, where you're a graphic designer or someone who's really into the arts, then you'll notice that. So an example, if I go into Affinity Photo here, now I typed out these two words, next Windows, twice, and I put TT right there on purpose. And you can notice the differences just like that. So I'm going to put them right next to each other. These are the exact same size. There's no difference. You can see below one is, in fact, let me see. The black one is Segoe UI normal, and the orange one is Segoe UI variable. You can see the difference. You know, they stretched it taller. Between the T's is a little different. You can see there's a little black you can see underneath. You can see the original Segoe UI, which means that variable things are a little bit taller, but not fully taller. The N and the D rounded things are a lot different, including the W, mainly the Windows area. You can see it's quite different in terms of size and everything like that. But again, these font sizes are exactly the same. I said it, exactly the same font size. And that's the difference right there. You can see even they added a little extra piece to the S on the variable one versus the Segoe UI normal one, which does not have it. It's kind of straight at the end. In fact, if I zoom in, you can see the difference right there of the S and that and the W. You can just, those are what they're talking about with the changes to that, and you'll see them across the OS. Now, it's kind of subtle, and I don't know if it's really changed, and I'll get to the HDR things in a second, but I believe I'm seeing that in the settings app. I could be completely different. It looks like the writing on the settings app, someone will correct me, someone will go into high def, just deep dive in, but it looks like those fonts have been added. The variable font has been updated across the settings app. It looks like it's different. Of course, someone let me know exactly, go through their nitty gritty things, but going in as well, they also changed something where you have to reactivate auto HDR. So let me minimize Affinity Photo. You have to reactivate auto HDR. So when you do that, you click HDR settings and then let it load in, and then you scroll down. If your monitor supports high dynamic range, which lets colors pop more, if your monitor supports it, you have to go through the process, settings, display, HDR settings, to make sure auto HDR is set to on. And that means that it'll darken the rest of your display. But then once you go into like a game that supports HDR or content that supports HDR, it'll automatically switch that content to HDR content, which is pretty dope. Another thing that they did is they added small updates to improve the drag and drop default cursor design scenarios, like dragging and dropping into Outlook. That's all right. And then there's another thing here. It says updating the Connect app icon to align with our other recent iconography improvements. As I said before, they've been updating the iconography, which is the icons, across the OS. They've been getting rid of things I've been seeing on Twitter. They got rid of the floppy disk icon on the icons area. They're updating everything finally, and part of it says the Connect app. So if we go over to these pictures here, I have two pictures up, and this shows you pretty much before and after. It says 2015, but I'm pretty sure that it hasn't really been changed even since then. So you got the Connect icon right there. Where is it? Right here. And it looks like there's a speaker and a computer monitor. And then going over to mine, I zoomed in, that's why it looks kind of pixelated. Going into mine here, you can see the Connect icon right here. It's got a speaker and a computer monitor. It's kind of hard to notice, but I see that the monitor right here, the left part of the monitor, and I'll zoom in for you guys, looks a little different from this one here, where every border around this little rectangle was exactly the same. It was the same, like, thickness. Over here, where is it? Over here, it looks like it's thicker on the left and right sides versus the top and bottom. So that's really what they're talking about there. And then it says, based on feedback, they made some tweaks on how symbols look in the symbols section are sorted, and updated historic font feedback to add BOMM Unicode range support. And then, as usual, there's a whole bunch of fixes. In fact, this build, I was searching to see if there's any changes to the start menu. This build has a ton of fixes that are in there. You can go through the whole list there. It's got so many fixes and almost no known issues, which is very odd, which means hopefully they're fixing things finally. And then they got some news and interest stuff and just like that. And also it says the camera app does not currently respect the default brightness. So that is pretty much build 21376 in a nutshell. Not crazy, but I had to go in depth on those fonts because you kind of have to go look into like a maze, a needle in a haystack to find where these fonts are and really have the eye for it to find it. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and if you see any differences too that they didn't talk about in the blog post, because I see that a lot. Let me know what you guys notice is different as well. My name is Kwaku, and I hope you guys enjoy your day. Take care.